1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, how are we all doing? Well, here we are again. Okay, what am I going to talk about this? Oh, I've got a cold. It's no good. Hang on a minute. I'm the back end of it, so we're doing okay, really, I suppose. Right, okay then. So, today I'm going to talk about Star Wars, The Power of the Myth exhibition that I went to in 1999. And it was pretty bloody awful, I'll be honest with you. We did have a good... Oh, got an email. We did have a good laugh in the end, but it was not what we were expecting. So, first I'll explain Star Wars. Well, I think everybody knows what Star Wars is, I hope. But it's obviously a big deal for me. I went to go and see it in 1977 when it came out, and it has ever since brought me the greatest joy and probably the deepest of despairs. But I still love it. In fact, the most despairing tale is a particular tale concerning my brother and an Obi-Wan Kenobi figure, which gets rolled out every Christmas. And my brother thinks it's hysterical. Anyway, that's for another time. But in all of my Star Wars fandom, the worst experience I've ever had was when I went to see the Power of Myth exhibition in Manchester with my brother, a couple of pals, and meeting some friends I had from Liverpool. We were all very excited. It was a big deal, you know, new film coming out and all that kind of stuff. I think the only person who wasn't was my brother because he was too punk for Star Wars. And any chance for him to take the piss out of me, he would take, which is good of him. Very nice of him. So, obviously, remember, trailer had already been released. There's controversy, excitement, and the build-up for the Star Wars machine was really starting up again. I suppose it was already big, but we didn't realise how big it was going to become. And, of course, this was probably the start of the Star Wars churn machine that just put some absolute crap out there. Anyway, so I can't remember how we found out about it, but I'm just trying to think now. I'm thinking we must have seen it advertised in Empire magazine or something like that. Anyway, we're all big Star Wars fans. Me, Palomine, Martin, massive. And then the lads who I used to know and still know in Liverpool, they were all Star Wars fans. Let's have a day out, big Star Wars exhibition. We're going to see all this stuff about how they made it and what have you. Yeah, cool. So we decided that we would buy some tickets and go and have a look at it. We were going to see an actual Star Wars spaceship, full size. That's what it advertised. Amazing. So I think, if I remember, the tickets were about £12 each, which is about 20 quid, 25 quid now. So we purchased them because the chance of seeing any kind of exhibition that was up in the north, nobody came north, certainly not the northwest, was just too much of a chance to miss. So let me quote you the advertisement for the show. A once-in-a-lifetime chance for 500,000 visitors across Europe to experience the magic of Star Wars and the power of myth firsthand. Well, I can tell you right now, that was not what I thought about it later. None of us did. Now, I suppose you have to remember, I was 29, I think, when this happened. And I'm sure if I was 10, I would have probably had a whole different perspective on it. I also have to say, brace yourselves, okay, people, just whoa. I don't mind the prequels or the sequels. There, I've said it, okay. Yeah, they're full of blue screen. Yeah, the script's terrible, but certainly the first movie, or the prequel, the first prequel, my kids absolutely loved, and they like Jar Jar Binks. I know, maybe there's something wrong with them, but honestly, they really liked it. They loved him as a character. Oh, no, it's okay. I thought to cut myself off then for a minute. I've just lost my signal. How have I managed that? Oh, I'm going to have to do that all again. Bugger. 1, 2, 3. Let's start again. This time I'll plug the microphone in. Where was I? Anyway, Jar Jar Binks. What was the first Star Wars? What was it called now? I can't remember. Oh, now then, let me just think. I've gone blank. Phantom Menace, that's it. Couldn't remember then. I've completely... Anyway, as I was saying, my kids thought it was fantastic. You know, so... What can I say? I can feel people raging already. Anyway, that's a different discussion. So, what I'm about to tell you is a tale of the beginning, if you will, and maybe the birth of the money-making monster that Star Wars easily became, and anybody cashing in on that pop culture explosion and getting fans to part with cash. For sure. Proof that you can surely polish a turd, and we'll happily give you money so that we can put it on the shelf for you to see. The exhibitions, and that's what we did. We just paid money for a turd, and I paid money for a lot of turds related to Star Wars. Anyway, the exhibition was held at GMX. Oh, by the way, if the sound slides is different, it's because I forgot to plug the microphone in, and I have now plugged it in, so good for me. Anyway, back where were we? The exhibition was held at GMX in Manchester, normally used for the Giants of Music, of course, and various exhibitions. Of course, it was going to be massive. It was at the GMX, for crying out loud. There's going to be a life-size spaceship for the new movie. Oh my God, it's not going to get any better than this. We got early tickets about 9:30, so we could spend all day there. We met up from our friends from Manchester. Met up in Manchester with our friends from Birkenhead, all giddy and excited. It was going to be a great day. We'd be astounded by this Star Wars epicness, and we'd share all our love of these things, and it was just going to be like several hours of greatness. But if you remember, we got in at 9:30 and we were in the pub at opening time, so you can guess how it goes. So we joined the queue. It was very hot, lots of sweaty Star Wars fans in t-shirts and cosplays and all that sort of thing, and some other strange folk eagerly awaiting the doors to open. And once they did, the atmosphere was palpable. We were led into this black curtained room. We all stood as a film started, which introduced us to this exhibition. The idea from the exhibition apparently was how ancient myths had influenced Star Wars. A book from Doreen Kindersley was released at the same time and available to purchase at the exhibition, just in time for them to publish the other hundreds of titles they churned out as tie-ins from the movies. So, as we stood in this black theatre, like a big curtained room, a feeling of bemusement came over me. The introduction movie didn't seem to have anything to do with Star Wars in, apart from saying how the Jedi Knights were like King Arthur's knights and that sort of thing. And to be honest with you, I think the curtains put me off. It just didn't feel right. It was like, it looked a bit like a youth theatre. Something was very strange. So, we were then led across this floor, and the sound of trainers squeaking on this super clean floor was just like, was super loud. And they led us through to another curtain section with someone holding it back, folding this big curtain back for us. We then to this room with a large painted backdrop of what seemed to be the Death Star, and like this real sort of like basic stage, like a school stage. And then so remember, we've moved from one curtain square room to another curtain square room. The Imperial March music boomed on, and in walked a couple of stormtroopers straight onto the stage. They looked amazing. The stormtroopers, they always look amazing. However, just as you thought there would be more, they acted out lines from the movie which were fed over a loudspeaker system, so the guys are just hand gesturing as they're doing it. And I think the loudspeaker system must have been from the organiser's cousin, who was a wedding DJ or something. Anyway, these curtains, they didn't even reach the floor, so you could see the light streaming and lots of footsteps from the other side of the curtains for some reason. It was a very strange thing. And the floor was really, really dirty because the light just lit it up to all like the footprints and stuff. So we're just looking at each other, trying to figure out what's going on. There's this like pause between the stormtroopers doing stuff, and then they sort of stop, and then the clip from the movie carries on, the audio clip from the movie carries on. And then the recognisable breathing of Darth Vader, and he walks up onto the stage looking up at his stormtroopers. And yes, I did say looking up. Yep, he was actually about 3 inches shorter than all of them. Well, 2 of them. aren't you a little short for a Vader? And the ensuing comedy show had a few people in hysterics, either with good humour or utter panic that they'd just wasted all the money. We were rolling about laughing. We realised then, what had we done? And we'd done bad. A few evil stares were thrown at us by some hardcore fans, but there were other people laughing as well. The situation was even worse by the fact that one of our chums was nearly 6 foot. So when the Imperial Mike came to wander among the general public at large, he towered over the tiny Vader, as did a few other people. And even as my pal desperately tried to get near him, it was obvious that Vader was having none of it, and he avoided the tall people like the plague. So with other amusements, the troops and the tiny Vader vacated the area, vanished, obviously using the power of the dark side to make a quick exit. Then we were guided to another square curtained room, and the music got louder and louder, and the commentator seemed to explain we were about to see the first of the new ships from the Phantom Menace. We'd not seen anything yet, and the music got louder and louder and louder until boom! Lights went off. Sound! Lights! Sound! Lights! Sound! And then a couple of people moved the curtains back aside and pushed in a life-size Naboo fighter trundling around the room, bouncing slightly as it looked as it may fall over, and there must have been 5 people holding it so that it didn't. It was with such tremendous cavalcade and a helper. Just a couple of blokes in a polo shirt, not even dressed as a pilot, and I think it was a forklift truck sort of made up to look like something else pushing it out. The massive spotlight that shone behind the fighter made everyone shield their eyes. It was so bright, and the music was really blaring, giving everybody a headache. However, the most outstanding feature of this ship, and it did look cool because it was life size, but the outstanding feature was the fact the light was shining on the silver underneath it. It was so polished, it was just covered in hundreds of handprints. Obviously, somebody had not got the Mr. Sheen out and given it a good polish. They were just that's all you could see, just handprints everywhere, all over it. We were just dumbfounded. Anyway, then the lights turned off. The spaceship trundled back behind its black curtained room. There were a lot of curtains. And everyone just seemed a bit bemused and didn't know what to do. We just stood around in a room. Nobody was directing us anywhere. And then suddenly somebody came out and hustled us, yes, you guessed it, behind another curtain, to experience the exhibition in full. Now, this did have some promise. All of us were keen model makers, so we hoped to see like the models and maybe some sets or some, masks and things like that. Well, no, that was not what we got. I think someone had rustled up some Revel kits in the garage in a hurry. What we proceeded to witness was a bunch of cheap exhibition boards with Star Wars images collaged up after being printed from Sierra Print. While someone had raided the mannequins from Marks and Spencer's skip and dressed them in whatever Star Wars kit the local fancy shop had. It was dreadful. At this point, our utter disappointment and realisation that we had been well and truly ripped off had crumbled into hysteric laugh a minute at the ludicrousness of the whole bloody thing. We made a decision, just over an hour into this dream nightmare. Apparently the experience would take a few hours, we were told, and headed for the exit. However, like an actor trying to get back on stage, once the curtain has gone down, there were a lot of curtains, remember, we seemed to be trapped in the myriad of black curtains, eventually just shifting the soddy things up and down and spinning out there quicker than Luke Skywalker trying to get back to the farm. It was awful. Honestly, I've never been so disappointed. We sprinted back to the pub that we'd seen outside of the GMEX, panicking slightly. It was only officially opening time. Anyway, it was open. We sat in the sun. We nursed our several beers, still in shock and trying to numb the pain. Needless to say, my brother found this absolutely hysterical. What we were going to do for the rest of the day? Well, as you can probably guess, I don't remember much of that afternoon. We spent it all in the pub. Great day. Anyway, the memory of that exhibition still haunts us today. We always talk about it whenever we get together. The absolute balls of whoever organised it was astonishing. It was an absolute shambles to me and my friends. It honestly looked like it had been thrown together by some ex-employees of Lucasfilm at a brutal revenge exercise on Star Wars fans. It was a cash-in, of no doubt at all. And I suppose this was the start of the Star Wars cash-in. Before you knew it, there were Coke cans, KFC, Burger King, AOL discs and nappies with Star Wars logos on them. Star Wars could make big money. They could not get away with this today, I hope. Or maybe Disney's Galaxy's Edge is just an upgrade from that. Some of my friends never recovered and they abandoned Star Wars for life after that. Not me though. I can take the pain when it comes to Star Wars. I'll always forgive it, but never forget, you beautiful bastard. There's a great article from Richard Hutchinson on a website called Fantha Tracks, which I'll put a link in. That's got a bunch of photos of the exhibition, and he talks about it. Honestly, I'm pretty sure he went on a different day. Anyway, that's me done for this one. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me if you did or you didn't. That'd be great. If you want to keep supporting on Patreon, that's always fantastic. But obviously, you'll get first dibs on these. They go up on Patreon first, and then by the end of the month, I'll put edited versions, which you might be listening to now, onto Spotify. I'll carry on with the Dan Rambles at another time. Thanks very much. See you all later, guys. Bye!